I used to have a writing partner who was just, we need to write like Aaron Sorkin because that's the only way we're going to get noticed. And I was just, but I don't write like Aaron Sorkin. I write like me. I don't want to write like, Aaron Sorkin. I don't want to be coked up 24/7 back in the 80s. It's just like,
Totally.
I can't help but write like me. Well, I'm sorry, I'm me. And, it's just that I feel like we can't help it sometimes because obviously there's art in the world and you see something beautiful and you can't help but say, "Ooh, I want to do that." But I always just keep in mind I can do that, but my way, just my version of it. So
Absolutely. And that's enough, right? And
yes.
again, there are virtuosos, and they are. And that's, you know, the genius of the world are singular, and
Hmm.
that's not the only way to create art.
Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by me, Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 425. Great episode for you guys today. I don't know if you noticed, but I did do an arm gesture, almost like a fist pump, but like a. And you know what? You guys don't need to know what I did. I fist pumped, all right, because I'm excited for today's episode, and I feel like the fist pump needs to be brought back. As always, I have to talk about the message of the podcast. We all share this world. We are all human. Even though we have our differences, really, we're all sharing this world, and we all have one thing in common. We are living. We are beings. We are living beings. Go figure. And for all our fellow living beings out there, why don't we, just kind of treat everybody with respect, right? I think that'd be pretty cool. And also, if you're going to go into the world, wear a damn mask. So once again, treat everybody with respect because we're all sharing this planet, and wear a mask. Message of the podcast. My guest today is a phenomenal singer, songwriter, musician. She is in the head of the band Byla Rose. The one and only Julia Rose Cummings is on the podcast, and I am just super excited to chat with her. She has a new EP out right now called How Far, and I recommend you guys pick it up because I had a great time listening to it, and I think you guys will too. But the one of the best things about Julia, there's so many, but once again, we do talk about the wonderful state of Oregon, and everybody knows how much I love Oregon. So that happens. So be prepared. I'm done talking. All right. So everybody, sit back, relax, and Julia, take it away. But obviously, I am. I love talking with artists and all kinds of artists in different forms. But obviously, the question I've been asking people this year and last year, which is weird to say, it's been officially a year. Um, as far as the world's going on, as far as the pandemic, have you noticed an uptick in your creativity?
You know, yes and no,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe you get this answer from a lot of people. Um, yeah, I'm a woodshedder, right? I'm kind of a homebody, so
Mm.
I've seen there are a lot of things I was able to lean into this last year and,
Hmm.
appreciate, um, kind of despite everything else, having that time at home. So yeah, I've been had a lot of time to do projects and be creative in not just music, but
Hmm.
crafting and
Mm.
painting and doing some stuff I don't have time to do. So there's that. But then, as we're all experiencing, there's a global vibe that
Right,
is,
right.
we can all articulate it in different ways, but I think it's worth talking about that we're all in this really unique space of being in, um, kind of high anxiety,
Hmm.
all collectively being traumatized by this. So there are some elements of feeling unproductive or feeling kind of like you're hitting a wall. So,
Right.
kind of depends on what day you're asking me that. So I've definitely had moments where I just feel incapable of kind of doing basic things, much less being creative. But I've found that for me, it's had a lot of positive aspects where, I've written some music, I've
Hmm.
crafted, painted, writing letters.
Hmm.
I haven't done that in years. I've actually wrote some letters this last year. So
Well, and so for the people at home, you are located in Maui, Maui, Hawaii. Uh, well, I'm just wondering. I don't hear what's going on over there as far as the pandemic.
yeah, well, I grew up in Maui, and I've
Hmm.
spent, a lot of this year on Maui. Actually, right now, in transparency, I'm in Seattle, but
Oh,
I
okay, okay.
but I just got back from Hawaii, and
Oh, okay.
I was sheltering in place there, and it's very unique scenario there because they're isolated. So, the economy's been hit very hard in Hawaii.
Mm.
It's a tourism-based economy.
Yeah.
So there's that. And also, I'm very mindful, having grown up there, being protective of the resources there,
Mm.
um, and making sure that the local people that live there have the resources they need, whether it's medical resources or, toilet paper and bread, like everybody else is
Right,
looking for.
right.
So the hit very different way. And also, because it's isolated, there's been a way to kind of control some of the influx of people,
Hmm.
but they lifted, a lot of the quarantine standards at the end of last year in October.
Oh.
So yeah, that allowed more visitors there, and so it's been a balancing act, but very different dynamic there than here
Hmm.
in Seattle. There's not as much density. There's more of an outdoor culture there. So
Right, right.
yeah.
Okay. And when you're saying in your Seattle, are you like working on music or just visiting or what's going on with Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a West Coast person through and
Yep.
through. Yeah,
West Coast, best coast.
I love all coasts, but I
Hmm.
am as West Coast as they get. I was born in California and
Mm.
moved to Hawaii, grew up there, and have been in the Pacific Northwest off and on for 20 years. Lived in
Mm.
Oregon and live in Seattle part time. So my day job is here in Seattle, and I'm able to um, toggle between the two places. So
Mm.
having spent a lot of time in the Pacific Northwest, I feel like I turned the corner and become truly West Coast once you get that far north and you can weather the
Yes.
winters. But yeah, I've been playing music, in place,
Mm.
and doing all of that at home. But I'm in the same position as a lot of artists with no opportunities to really get out there.
Right, right. Um, as far, sorry, I want to go back to the whole Oregon. What part of Oregon did you live in?
I went to University of Oregon and I lived
Oh,
in
okay.
Eugene for 5 years.
Okay, okay. I was born a Beaver man. I'll
Uh-oh.
go always. I'm always an OSU guy. I'm staring at my OSU cup, my Benny bobblehead. I have Oregon hats everywhere. You're talking to an Oregon boy here, so
And are you in Portland now?
I wish. No, I'm in
Oh.
Texas.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys were based in Portland.
No,
Okay.
I grew up in Salem. though.
Oh, all right.
So yeah, I'm very familiar with both universities. I always forget. I When I was in high school, I did marching band and I marched on a lot of the fields. And I for some reason I always forget that, but it was such a now that I'm older, I'm like, oh man, that was a cool feeling being able to do that. But I get at the time I didn't think anything of it, but still.
Yes, youth wasted on the young there.
It is. It sucks.
But you get, I mean, I loved Eugene. I loved
Hmm.
Oregon. You know, we have to hate OSU,
Yes.
but I never felt that way. I love Oregon,
I,
and
I I'm glad. U of O was always, growing up anyway. They were always the more aggressive school, campus slash students slash fans, and obviously their football team was better, so they could back it up. But I remember I was visiting Oregon a couple of years ago, and I wore my OSU hat just because I had to be in Eugene because I was going with my buddy to the university and everybody was just nice. And I was just like, I'm not used to this. What's going on here?
yeah, right.
but, but that's okay. Um, but you mentioned as well as being in the same boat, as musicians being in the same boat, not being able to play. Is it weird releasing this EP and not being able to, like, obviously you can, promote it digitally and have people buy it and all that. But like, is it weird not being able to play it live in front of people?
Somewhat. I mean, again, I've kind of embraced what we've all gone through in the last year and a half, and I've really looked at all the positives about
Mm-hmm.
releasing this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe partially because it's a great thing to focus on, right?
Right.
And
Right.
it's in my isolation. But yeah, it's weird. But I also find that there's something kind of liberating about it to feel like I'm part of the community. There's kind of a level playing field in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
not entirely, right, with bigger musicians, but there's a communal feeling around that actually feels kind of good. Like I said, we're all in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that releasing music now, audiences are, is captive a terrible word? No, the audiences are receptive. People want to
Right.
listen to music.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stats around streaming services last year, how, there was a huge uptick because people are at home and listening to music. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of benefits there that there's a receptive ears and a receptive audience, and that there are a lot of things, in this day and age I can do remotely to
Mm-hmm.
promote my music. But um, yeah, come on. I mean, I wouldn't give to just be in a crowd with live music again, what we all wouldn't give, right? I mean, that's
Right.
probably number one on the list of what I want to do when we get back to, quote unquote regular. So yeah, it definitely feels odd, but I think again, it releasing it right now in March after experiencing this for so long,
Mm-hmm.
it I knew what I was getting into, and I embraced it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's do it. Let's do it now, and put it out there, and you know, see how receptive people are to it. But yeah, it's a different experience altogether, live performance as opposed to recording. So yeah.
Were you working on this mid pandemic, or was it something that you had finished before the pandemic and just kind of held it until, through the pandemic just to get a feel of, when was a good time to release it?
Yeah, I started this record actually a couple of years ago, so
Mm.
it's been a journey. I had to record it in phases,
Mm.
given the the band I was working with, the budget I had, doing this on my own, and also I just had a lot of personal life experiences
Mm-hmm.
that happened in the last couple of years. So it's been almost like phases, right? I started with recording the music, and then later I was able to record the vocals, and then later I was able to get it mixed, and it was like kind of piecemeal in a sense. So the record was done, the beginning of 2020, and then it
Mm.
was kind of like 2020, what a year. I just didn't know. I didn't know. And I was going to
Right.
release it in October of 2020 because
Ah,
I
okay.
thought, let's put something good into this year, right? Let me focus.
Right.
And then I just, revisited that strategy, working with my team, and it just later decided that it was better to move it into this year and plan for it properly. So I'm really happy I waited, but
Hmm.
yeah, I was sitting on it for a while to try to check the temperature and see what would be the best
Right.
strategy for letting it out to the world.
And doing the album in phases, I don't want to pry into the life happens in the life in your life. But did you notice that after going through life experiences that influenced your vocals later on down the road, that you were just like, you know what, I got to change this lyric, or I want to do it this, sing it this way, or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I didn't really change the lyrics, but
Hmm.
I'm not shy to share because I think it's really important. Within those 3 years, my mother got very ill and passed
Hmm.
away, and I
I'm
was
sorry to hear
there.
that.
Thank you. And I was there for that. That's a process. That's not a
Yes.
thing
Yeah.
that just happens. So what it changed for me was, as death does in so many scenarios, it really puts everything into perspective,
Hmm.
and you really see what's important, right? It reminds you in the biggest way that you could be reminded. So what shifted for me was really just how important it is for me to do this and live this dream and get this music out.
Hmm.
It wasn't, I didn't change too much about the songs themselves because they were already crafted and workshopped. But
Hmm.
yeah, my energy and urgency around the vision, and actually, this is my debut and it's something I've been working on, and we're playing music for so long. So this is a
Yeah.
big build up to this moment.
Yeah.
And so it was actually, it's a beautiful motivator in a very strange way. And I was able to play the music for my mom, and I was able to sing her the song. So I got to have all those moments in those years going on. And I think it did affect the way, um, I approached recording my vocals, because the fear started to, dissipate even more. There's a
Mm.
there's a lot of fear around releasing your art into the world,
Hmm.
if maybe not for everyone, but for me. So that really, um, what's the point of the fear, right?
Hmm.
Life is short. You got to do it,
Hmm.
not let all the what ifs kind of, stand in the way. And a lot of my songs are actually about that.
Hmm.
So to me, it just felt like just that urgency of how important this was for me.
It's interesting that you say let go of the fear, because I'm the type of person who is typically motivated by fear. Where if I'm fearful doing, sometimes it used to happen when I would do interviews or go to events, something like that. I would let fear motivate me, because that meant my brain processed it as, oh, something I care about. So embrace it. And and sometimes I miss having that fear of just, okay, this is what I need to do. This is the right path. And I do commend you though for embracing it though, and just being like, you know what, this is, I got to do this.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. I think fear can be a motivator as well. I think when it comes to your own art,
Yeah.
there's an element of exposure and vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
that you have to be ready and strong and, ready for being open to that. So, yeah, I think there's motivation in it as well. And I think some of the fear is like fear of failure, or fear of
Mm.
not being perfect. And that to me is a really, what a bummer motivator. You shouldn't be letting that
Yes.
drive you, right? Like
Yes. Yeah.
fear of, and I think the other part for me is like, I work in the music industry. I've
Mm.
listened to music my whole life. I've played music for so long. I am around the most incredible musicians, and there's a comparison factor of like, well, there's geniuses out there and
Right.
virtuosos, and who am I to, there's that comparison when you're constantly surrounded by it. So that contributed to some of my maybe shyness, right, to share it.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
And I think you have to overcome that hump with music or with anything really, because there's always going to be somebody who's a genius or virtuoso,
Right,
right?
right.
Like we're not all I don't know, the greatest singers. I love the jazz singers. I'm not Sarah Vaughan. She's my favorite singer in the world. Well, no one's Sarah Vaughan. Sarah Vaughan
Right.
was Sarah Vaughan. So I think it's just really when it comes to your own personal art, really not comparing yourself and really owning your voice and saying, this is my story, this is who I am, and this is my style, and I'm comfortable with that being uniquely me. And
Right.
it's not about it better best, especially when it comes to music and art. That's all a matter of taste in some
Right.
cases, right?
Correct. It's so funny that we put pressure on ourselves to be like that individual. I used to have a writing partner who was just, we need to write like Aaron Sorkin because that's the only way we're gonna get noticed. And I was just, but I don't write like Aaron Sorkin. I write like me. I can't. I don't want to write like Aaron Sorkin. I don't want to be coked up 24/7 back in the 80s. It's just
Totally.
like I can't help but write like me. Well, I'm sorry, I'm me. And it's just that I feel like we can't help it sometimes because obviously there's art in the world and you see something beautiful and you can't help but say, "Ooh, I want to do that." But I always just keep in mind I can do that, but my way, just my version of it. So
Absolutely. And that's enough, right? And
yes.
again, there are virtuosos, and they are. And that's, you know, the genius of the world are singular, and
Hmm.
that's not the only way to create art.
Exactly. Exactly. But again, going back to the whole live performance aspect, is there a song that you're particularly looking forward to playing in front of a crowd?
Wow, all of them really.
Yeah, yeah.
There's I had an amazing background singer who sang on a lot of the tracks. Her name is Kudi-san Kai, and she's one of the most incredible singers I've ever had the good fortune of seeing in front of me in
Hmm.
person. And if I could get her to sing with me on some of those songs, because the backup vocals just have so much power, like that would just be even more epic. But there's one song in particular that's actually the ballad of the record. It falls in the middle of the record, and it's very kind of quiet and slow. And that one to me is just very personal. The song is called "A Secret,"
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just I really want to perform that song to see how it resonates with people. Because to
Hmm.
me, even though quieter songs aren't always the toe tapping bangers,
Right, right.
they
Get
that
out your lighters, people. Here we
yeah, but
go.
this one just has it's just very a softness to it, and I've
Yeah.
always just been curious how it would be received and how people take the story within poetry or songs or any stories, and they sometimes apply them to themselves. And so
Mhm.
um, I just would hope that that song in its quietness and reverie really would speak to people, and yeah, performing that would be really meaningful to me.
Nice. Okay. Okay. And for people at home who would like to pick up the EP or keep up with everything that you're doing online, where can they do all that?
Well, I have a website, bylarose.com, and there's links to everything there. But the record's available on all the streaming services,
Mhm.
Apple Music and Spotify and Deezer and everywhere in the world. I have some, Bandcamp, big
Mhm.
advocate for Bandcamp
Yep.
and supporting independent artists. So you can also check it out there. And I have a few hard copies. If you're in Seattle, if you pop into Easy Street Records, you might be able to grab one of the few hard copies. I did a limited edition print of
Mm.
them, but I'm not selling those right now. But if you, check out my website, there's more information about me and other ways to get in touch with me.
There we go. There we go. Julia, thank you so much for chatting with me. Anytime you'd like to come back and just talk more about music or Pacific Northwest and how the Beavers are better than Ducks, hey, I'd be happy to debate that with you.
I was expecting that. I mean, there's no team rivalry yet in this conversation.
No,
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.
I love all Duck fans. It's just, yeah.
I feel the
I'm
love.
just messing. Well, good, good. We
Yeah.
can all agree that the Blazers are the best basketball team around.
Supersonics, bring them back.
But for right now, they're not back. But for right now, okay, we'll agree that the Seattle, what is it, Krakens? What is it? The hockey team that's
Yeah.
coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're the best. We can all agree with that then.
I got to toe the line for our Supersonics, though.
Nah.
But yeah, I appreciate. You did say the Ducks were the better team back in the day, and that's
They absolutely they had that track record of being real, and I was just like, of course, yeah, okay, they're good. What do you want me to say? I'm not gloating about the Beavers being the best. I'm just saying I like the Beavers. Whatever, that's fine. It's like growing up a Cowboys fan in the early 2000s. There wasn't anything to back that up, but for some reason, and you know what, we're going down a weird.
Well, you're Texas. Hey, we don't mess with Texas. I get it. You're
no
Texas.
Mess with Texas. Blah, blah. Pacific Northwest all the way.
Come back, Chris. Come back.
You know what? I am. I'm on my way. No, if I could, I would be there in a heartbeat. I miss the Pacific Northwest. I miss the rain. I miss being able to wear shorts, sandals, and have it raining at the same time with a hoodie. Like I miss all of that.
Oh, you're a true Northwesterner then.
Oh, yes. And I miss making fun of people for using umbrellas.
Yeah, I hear you. I used one the other day because I said, oh, there's no shame in this game, people. It's great. And I was like, just pretend like I'm a tourist because
exactly.
Kind of can be. So
that's fine. That's fine. But again, have a wonderful rest of your day and continued to be safe and healthy. And look forward to hearing more music from you.
Thanks so much, Chris. We'll chat again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.